Good morning. Welcome to Sunday morning yoga. We're going to start with palms forward and a great big shoulder shrug. Inhaling up and exhaling back and down. Keep your palms forward. Repeat. Shoulder shrug. Inhale all the way up and exhale back and down. One more time, just like that. Great big shoulder shrug. Great big yawn. Looks like I have to say I'm okay with being recorded too. I apologize for that. Every week, Zoom seems to change their program a little bit, adding new features and changing things up. So now I have to acknowledge it. I'm okay recording myself. Okay, so let's do that again. Palms forward, great big shoulder shrug. Inhale up, exhale back and down. One more time, great big shoulder shrug. Inhale up, exhale back and down. Third time's a charm, great big shoulder shrug. Inhaling all the way up and exhaling back and down. And then with an inhale, take your arms all the way up and overhead. And exhale, release down to your sides. Palms forward, shoulder shrug. Inhale up. Exhale back and down. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Down to your sides. Palms forward, shoulder shrug. Inhale. And exhale down. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale down. Palms forward, shoulder shrug. Inhale. And exhale. Keeping your knees soft, your feet apart, at least hip width apart. Make soft fists and start to twist. Unstick your heels. Unstick your heels so that you don't torque your knees. And these are soft fists. You're striking yourself in the chest like a gorilla. And back bottom ribs, bra band region. Big twist. Breaking up some of that phlegm in your chest, working up a good cough or two. This is one of those Tai Chi, Qigong warm-up exercises that you might do. Again, just to break up the phlegm in your chest. Help you take deeper breaths. And then you're going to come to neutral. And settle in. Jostle your shoulders. Do another shoulder shrug. Inhale up. Exhale back and down. And put your hands on your hips. So hopefully you located your rib cage a few moments ago. With your hands on your hips, take some nice deep chesty breaths and lift your ribs off of your hips. So as you inhale, get a longer torso. And then as you exhale, drop your chest. Inhale, chest expands and lifts up. And exhale, it drops. Keep it going. Big inhale, stretch. And exhale. I've heard this described as telescoping. So like you're opening up a telescope. As you inhale, extend, expand, lift upwards. And then exhale all the breath out. Okay, hands will now transfer up to your ribs. If you were a Hindu goddess, you had an extra set of hands, you can imagine an extra set of hands staying at your hips. You still want to maintain that idea of ribs lifting up, but now with your hands on your actual ribs, you also want the ribs to expand outward. So as you inhale, you lift up and out. And as you exhale, close those front ribs in, press all the breath out. Inhale, lift up and out. And exhale, close in and down. Hands on your ribs so you can feel those bones moving. Not only those front ribs, side ribs, but also those back ribs too. One more just like that. Entire rib cage expands, lifts outward and upward. And then all your breath out. And you can drop those arms once again, jostle your shoulders. So we're going to do that same sort of breathing technique, that same movement with your whole body, but you're going to do it with your breath out. So it's hard for me to do it and describe it at the same time. So I'll describe it and then I'll do it and then we'll do it together. So what you will be doing is that same movement, inhaling up and expanding out, but you'll be doing the inhale like you're sucking in breath with your throat closed, so no actual breath comes in. So you would begin with an inhale, exhale all the breath out, close your throat, and then as if you were inhaling, but don't let any breath come in, you lift up and stretch out. And then when you absolutely need to inhale, you relax your tummy first, and then you inhale. And then you exhale everything out, and let's do it together. All the breath out, close your throat, don't let any breath in, lift your ribs up, expand, open your chest. And then when you need to inhale, relax your tummy first and then inhale. The key is to relax your tummy first, otherwise you will get a cramp and that does not feel good. So let's do it a couple more times. This time I won't talk. Big inhale, all the breath out. All the breath out, close your throat. Make sure you relax that tummy first. One more time, all the breath out, close your throat. And breathe. This time, let's get fancy with it. You're going to exhale all the breath out, close your throat, lift your chest up, and then maybe shift it a little side to side. So the chest is moving, not so much the hips. And then when you need to inhale, come to neutral, relax that tummy and inhale. And then for fun, the next time, maybe you're shifting your chest forward and backward. All the breath out, close your throat. Last time, circle. Exhale all the breath out. Close your throat. So of course you circled one way, you got to circle the other way, and then you'll be even, and then we'll be done with this. All the breath out, close your throat. You get warm just standing around doing various breathing exercises. That's kind of one of the fun things about having these breathing techniques in your toolkit. You can warm yourself up just by standing around and breathing. All right, coming forward towards the front edge of your mat. No more fancy breathing, just normal, easy breathing. Big inhale, arms come all the way up. And exhale all the breath out. Palms forward for a shoulder shrug, big yawn, inhaling up. And exhaling back and down. Oh, that feels good. How about a couple more, just like that? Big inhale all the way up. And all the breath out. Palms forward, shoulder shrug, inhale. And exhale. One more time. This time we're going to forward fold. Inhale, arms up. With knees bent, swan dive down into a forward fold. Arms dangle, inhale, come halfway up. And exhale, melt. With knees bent, reverse swan dive, inhale, up, up, and away. And exhale, release arms down to your sides. Palms forward for a shoulder shrug, inhale up. And exhale down. Inhale, both arms up and overhead. Once again, swan dive, bend your knees, forward fold. Inhale, come halfway up. And exhale, melt. I'm going to take my feet as wide apart as the mat. If you have issues with your back, I recommend putting some blocks underneath your hands. Take some of the weight off of your back. Otherwise, feel free to hold on to your elbows. I dream of Genie style. Let your head hang. and swish and sway side to side. Get acquainted with how your hips and lower back and the back of your legs feel this morning. And do please keep breathing. So one modification is with hands on blocks. I do recommend putting those blocks on the high level so that you can support some of the weight of your torso, less strain on your back if you need to do that. Swishing and swaying side to side. And keep breathing. Coming to neutral, bend your knees, transfer your hands up onto your lap. So knees are bent so that you have a lap. Put your hands on your lap and push your knees wide. So you're a little bit bow-legged. Knees are pushing wide, but keep your big toes down. All right, hands are braced on the inside of your legs to keep those knees wide, and locate your right hand. With an inhale, sweep that right arm up and open, follow it with your gaze, and exhale, release. Same side, same arm. Inhale, sweep up, up, and away. And exhale. Third time, big inhale, up and open. And exhale. Let's switch sides. Hand on the inside of your knee, locate your left hand, and with an inhale, sweep up and open. And exhale. Inhale, open. And exhale. One more time. Great big inhale all the way up. And exhale. All right, hands on your lap. Inhale, roll all the way up to standing, walking your hands up your lap. Good. Big inhale, arms up. And as you exhale, release your arms down to your sides. Finish with that shoulder shrug, palms forward, back and down. Clasp your hands together behind your back, interlacing your fingers. Skid your thumbs down your tailbone as you squeeze your shoulder blades together. Back your head up in line with the rest of your spine. You can stay here. Blood pressure, eyeball pressure, breakfast permitting. You have the option of taking your feet as wide apart as that mat, bending your knees generously once again, and hinging over. If falling forward like this just does not work for you, you can stay upright. Either option, either variation. You're working to pull your elbows away from your back and try to do that without locking your elbows. Make sure those elbows are unlocked. They might feel slightly bent to you. Hands might be a little closer to your hips than your ego likes, but it is safer for your elbows and your joints if you keep those elbows from locking out. And once again, hands come onto your lap, around your back. Inhale, climb all the way up to stand. And finish with that inhale, arms up. And exhale, palms forward for a shoulder shrug. Inhale. And exhale. All right, knees are soft. And once again, I take those arms across, soft fists, unstick those heels. Little twist. Keep going. And slow it down. Settle in with palms forward with a great big shoulder shrug. And exhale. Let's take that left hand, pull it behind your back, pull it across, hold it in place, palm to palm, shoulders down away from your ears, and your head falls over towards your hands. Knees stay unlocked, toes are spread. Turn your head to look down into your right armpit. Might even check for deodorant. Getting a slightly different angle on that left side of your neck to stretch. Keeping your knees soft, your feet apart for balance sake. You now have the option to reach down with your right hand, sweep that right arm up and overhead, turn this into a bit of a side stretch. working that bottom hand, that left hand higher up between your shoulder blades. Bend the top elbow. Maybe you can get your fingertips to touch, or you can hold on to your shirt and then straighten up. Knees are still unlocked. Stay here if you like, or if balance permitting, you have the option of shifting your weight over onto that left foot, taking that right foot, crossing it behind, squeezing your thighs together, and then push that right elbow up towards the ceiling. Spread the right side ribs. So your right hip is pulling down and your right ribs, your right elbow are climbing up towards the sky. Both knees stay soft. And then release. Once again, separate your feet and let those arms swing. Let's do the other side. Let's take that left arm, pull it across behind. I just did the left arm. Take that right arm behind your back, pull it across. Hold it in place, palm to palm, shoulders down away from your ears, and let your head fall over to the left. Knees unlocked, toes are spread. And then look down into that left armpit. And then again, balance permitting, you're gonna reach down with that left arm, sweep that left arm up and over, turn this into a bit of a side stretch, working that bottom hand higher up between your shoulder blades. Bend the top elbow, maybe touch your fingertips together or hold on to your shirt, and then straighten up. Both knees stay soft, and you have the option of crossing that left foot behind, squeezing your thighs, pulling in on that pelvic floor, and adding that little bit of side stretch to maybe get your fingertips closer together. And as you do this, the left hip drops, the left elbow pushes up, and you feel a good strong stretch through the left side of your body. Can you do all of that and breathe? And then uncross your legs, straighten up, and release your arms. Palms forward, shoulder shrug, inhale up. Exhale back, head down. Inhale, both arms up. And with knees bent, swan dive down into a forward fold. Arms dangle, inhale, come halfway up. And exhale, release. Let's come on down to the floor. Have those blocks handy. Come on down to hands and knees. I'm going to turn sideways. You're probably more comfortable just looking at the screen. I'm turning sideways so you can see the distance between my hands and feet. I've also put a pillow underneath my knees because the floor is hard. Hands beneath your shoulders, blocks nearby. Knees beneath your hips, toes curled under for that added toe stretch. Inhale, head up, tail up for cow. And exhale for cat. Moving slowly, breathing slowly, making use of all that breath area that you've been cultivating, really expanding with each and every breath, and then pressing all the breath out for an exotic cat. Inhaling for cow. And exaggerating the exhalation for your cat pose. Inhaling, coming to neutral. Keeping those toes curled under, keep that belly lifted into your body. Sit back over your heels. You can take those blocks with you. I still have my toes curled under, so my little piggies are squealing. You can use those blocks to help you steady or lift some of the weight off those heels if this is too much for those feet. Otherwise, sit back over those heels and have a quick look-see. So you get to watch while I do what's coming up next. And while you sit and watch, feel those toes stretching. In a moment, you will be on hands and knees. Notice I took the pillow out of the way so you can see my knees a little bit better. I'm actually going to move my pants out of the way too, so you can see those knees even more. On hands and knees, I'm going to do my inhale. Exhale for cat, pull that tummy in tight, and then lift my knees to hover 1 inch off the mat. I'm going to call this one bear. And then knees go down. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. Lift those knees up for bear. All right, when that makes sense to you, come on down and join me on hands and knees. Let's take a quick toe stretch first. So take a moment to untuck your toes. Sit back over your heels. Might have those blocks handy as well. As you shift your weight off to one side, you can peel up one knee. Feel the stretch on the top side of the foot. And then shift your weight to the other side. Peel up the other knee. Feel the stretch on the top side of the other foot. So bear is a type of ab exercise. It doesn't hurt your neck. Those are the type of ab exercises I like. I too hate crunches. All right, one more time. Shifting your weight from side to side. Stretching your toes the other way. And second side, second time. You can, by all means, do this with padding underneath your knees. I just removed the pillow so that you could see my knees get off the floor. All right, we're going to come to hands and knees now. Toes curled under. Have your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips, those toes curled under. And let's inhale for cow. And exhale for cat. Pull that tummy in tight, tuck your tail, tuck your chin, and lift those knees up. Now, I'm not doing anything in particular with the breath. I'm still just breathing here. And then knees go down. And now I make an effort to inhale. And exhale. Get those abs involved. Lift those knees up and hover. And just breathe regular. And then knees go down. Inhale for cow. And exhale for cat. Let's lift those knees up for 4 breaths. And when you've had 4 breaths, those knees go down. You inhale for cow. And exhale for cat. One more time, lift those knees up for 4 breaths. Now you can keep those knees up and shift your hips backwards if you like, and shift your hips forward if you want, or just hover. You can play around with it a little bit. As soon as I start moving though, I tend to lose count. I think that's probably been about 4 breaths. Put those knees down and you can untuck those toes and just go into child's pose. So if you know me, you know I can't count and do anything else at the same time. So we're going to go up one more time. 3rd time's the charm with this one. And you have the option of just hovering your bear in midair or shifting your bear forward and backwards. And then we'll move on to something else. So let's come to hands and knees one last time. Toes curled under. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. Lift those knees up for bear. And we're here for 4 breaths. And you could just hover in midair or shift forward and backward. If you're shifting forward and backward, it is more work on those thighs. And when you've had 4 breaths, you get to come on down, untuck those toes, and once again, come into that child's pose. So definitely got some blood flowing to those thighs. Also, I don't know about you, but I feel that in my wrists. So let's take a moment to stretch out those wrists. So when you're on standard hands and knees, your fingers point forward. Let me back up so you can see my hands. Now we're going to spin those fingers. So the palms are still down, but now the fingers point backwards. So just spin your palms to face backwards. Shift forward enough so that you can bend your elbows. Shift your chest forward so that you can bend your elbows and feel that stretch go all the way up your forearms. Do your best to keep breathing. Can you relax your toes? Sometimes this makes my toes curl. You want even more stretch, keep both elbows bent and shift side to side. Keep breathing. And shift forward so that you can spin your hands out. And now you're going to put the backs of your hands together. Shoulders down. Nice long neck. And slide your hands down the midline of your chest so that your wrists line up with your elbows. Backs of your hands together. Try getting the backs of your thumbs together. Do your best to keep breathing. So if this is intense enough for you, great, stay here. Or if you want even more intensity, a little bit more variation with this, you can do one hand at a time in the following way. If you were to take the back of your left hand and put it down on the mat, and then hold it with your right. So my right hand's on top of my left, both elbows bend. I can spin the left elbow pit, the veins, to shine forward. This only works if you can keep both elbows bent. And then that will definitely intensify that stretch up your forearm. And then bail out. Again, that is just a different variation of doing the two hands at once. So if this doesn't make sense, what I'm doing on the floor, you can just continue here with the reverse back of the hands, namaste. Otherwise, take the back of your right hand down to the floor, hold it with your left, spin both elbow pits to face forward, and feel that go all the way up your forearm. Keeping both elbows bent. In order to bend your elbows, you might need to shift your chest forward so that you can put a bend in both elbows and rotate those elbow pits, those veins, to shine forward. And release. Let's fan those fingers out, rolling those wrists. And then we'll go the other direction, big loopy circles. All right. We worked on some breath capacity, opening up the chest, getting acquainted with our ribs, warmed up the thighs, got the abs going, did something with our hands. I think we should put it all together. Because I'm the teacher, I get to think of these things. We're going to put it all together into a elbow plank, a side plank, a vashistasana. So let's go into a downward facing dog first. From here, hands and knees, toes curled under. Exhale, pull that tummy in tight, and then lift your hips up, back them up into your downward facing dog. Fingers spread wide, even turn out to the sides a little bit, keeping those elbows unlocked. Engage like you're shoving your thumbs towards one another so that your chest muscles and your arm muscles turn on. And let's take this dog for a walk. Separate your feet as wide apart as your mat and let your hips swing and sway from side to side. And as you swish and sway your hips from side to side, your goal, if you choose to accept the following challenge, is to get your shirt to untuck from your pants without using your hands. So if I tuck my shirt in first and get up into my downward facing dog, and then take my dog for a jog, swish and sway my hips from side to side, I'm trying to pull my shirt out of my pants without using my hands. Try to get that shirt to pull out of your back waistband without using your hands. So pulling in that tummy, pulling up on those front ribs. Stretching your torso long. Of course, breathing. From this downward facing dog, come to neutral. Rise up onto your tippy toes, shift your body weight forward, pull in your front ribs, pull in your belly, come to the top of a push-up. Continue to shift forward, shift forward, shift forward, all the way to your tippy toes, and then set your knees down. Continue to shift your chest forward. Just hold. Tummy is strong. I'm gonna untuck my toes and back hips up. Coming into that child's pose. Lift your head up. You're going to interlace your fingers. Park your elbows down on the mat. Interlacing your fingers, elbows down on the mat. Exhale, arch your back for a variation on your cat pose. Pulling in that tummy nice and strong, curl your toes under, and then lift your hips up and back them up into your downward facing dog variation. Some people call this one dolphin. Again, the idea with this dolphin pose is to pull those hips out of your armpits, get long through your torso, wiggle your hips back so you can pedal your feet, bend one knee, then the other, swish and sway your hips side to side. Getting a nice long torso. And then let's transfer this into an elbow plank. From downward facing dog, exhale, pulling your front ribs, pulling your belly, shift your body forward, coming to the top of a plank, elbow plank. Tummy is strong. And then knees come down. And once again, you get to back it up. Toes together, knees apart, hips back on your heels for child's pose. Starting to feel those shoulders. You're going to do another dolphin and another elbow plank. And then those shoulders should be sufficiently warmed up for us to do our one-armed elbow plank and other vashistasana variations. So no more talking, more doing. Elbows down, hands interlace, toes curl under. Exhale for a cat-like pose. Hips lift up and back them up for a downward facing dog variation. Dolphin. Take a moment to walk that dog. Pull those hips out of your armpits. Get long through your torso. And then from here, rise to tippy toes, shift your body weight forward, pull in that tummy as you come to the top of your elbow plank. And knees come down, and you get to back it up. Crawl your hands back to your lap. Come on up to sit. Let's go for a gate pose that we will turn into a one-armed plank variation. So coming to a kneeling position, I do recommend some padding underneath your knees or a double yoga mat situation like I have, because you will be on your knees for this one. You'll be on one knee for this one. So starting from this kneeling position, take your right leg out to the side. Imagine there was a line down the middle of your mat. You want your knee and your foot to be on the same line. If you have ballerina foot, okay, whatever. If you don't have ballerina foot, okay, whatever. What's important is that the knee is pointing up towards the ceiling. You don't want the knee turned in and collapsing forward. You want the leg turned out so your knee points up. So I don't care if the foot is flexed or if the foot is pointed. I worry more about the knee. And then the other thing about this knee is you don't want the knee to hyperextend and bend backwards. So keep it slightly bent if you're a bendy Wendy. Shoulder over hip over knee, everything stacked up on this left side. Big inhale, both arms come up and overhead. Pulling your ribs out of your hip, pulling that tummy in tight, rib cage lifted off your hip bones. Right hand down, left arm up and come over. So you got this whole torso coming out over the straight leg. Make sure that knee stays unlocked as you come over into a big side stretch. With an inhale, come all the way up. And now this left hand comes down to the floor. Right arm goes out in front of you. Smack an imaginary table, shrug that top shoulder onto your back. So drag that table towards you. So feel that chest rotate open towards the sky a little bit more. And then this top hand comes right alongside your ear. Palm is flat to the ground like you're dribbling a basketball. Now you may have noticed I'm on fingertips here with the bottom hand. I'm challenging myself to have strong wrists. If fingertips is too much for you, you can put your hand down flat, but spread the fingers. So far, so good. If you're feeling really good about this, you could float the straight leg and do your best to keep breathing. And then the top foot comes down. Wipe that table off the side of your hip and then come all the way back up. And let's switch sides. From this kneeling position, left foot goes out to the side. Once again, turn the leg out like a ballerina turns out. So your knee points up. And again, I don't care if you have ballerina foot or flexed ankle, it doesn't matter. The knee is the important part, and keep that knee unlocked. Shoulder, hip, and knee all stacked up. Both arms come up and over into that side stretch. This is Parigasana, gate pose, also called windswept tree. So it does kind of look like a Torrey pine. Knee unlocked. Inhale up. Tick-tock over to the other side. Let's take that top arm out in front because we want that top shoulder to really shrug onto your back. And then bring that top arm alongside your ear. It can be on fingertips or the bottom hand can be flat, whatever works for you. And you have that option of floating the straight leg up. And the top foot comes down and you come all the way up. We're going to switch again, taking it to the next level. You have the option of staying down on one knee. So shoulder over hip over knee, leg is turned out, ballerina foot or not, whatever. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, tip over. It does make it worthwhile if you fix that top shoulder. So shrug that top shoulder onto your back. Bring that arm alongside your head once again. Inhale up and tip over. Okay. This time, make sure the bottom hand is on the floor directly beneath your shoulder. You might even glance down at it and spin that hand, dial the hand so the fingers point behind you. So spin that hand in the direction of the pinky finger, and that helps get the shoulder to shrug onto your back a little bit more. So make sure that bottom shoulder shrugged onto your back. Your heart is open. Top arm goes out in front of you. Shrug that top shoulder onto your back. It is a little easier if this top arm is straight up. So maybe that's where you want to go with this. Because from here, your challenge is to try to float the bent knee. What? Try to float the bent knee. Once or twice or 3 times, just float it and put it down. And then inhale, come all the way up. And let's switch sides. Going to that kneeling position, kicking that left leg out to the side, shrug this right shoulder onto your back, both shoulders onto your back, inhaling up. Coming over into that side stretch, Parigasana gate pose, knee is unlocked. Make sure that top shoulder's on your back. Big stretch. That stretch just hits a little differently when you get that top shoulder shrugged onto your back. And inhale up and tip over. So take a moment to look down at that bottom hand, dial the bottom hand in the direction of the pinky finger, get that bottom shoulder shrugged onto your back. Top hand out in front, so you can shrug the top shoulder onto your back. And again, it is easier to balance with this top arm straight out. All right, and now here's your challenge. Try to float, lift up the bent knee. What? And put it down. And try to float the bent knee and maybe put it down. Third time, maybe float that bent knee and put it down. And inhale, come all the way up. Oh, let's do it one more time from a downward facing dog. So I'm going to go do my downward facing dog profile view so you can see me. And you might consider going profile view also so that you could just turn and look towards the camera. Now, depending on which way you've gone, you want to figure out which knee to put down The knee that you put down should be the knee furthest away from the camera. For me, it's my right knee. So from downward facing dog, I'm going to rise, tippy toes, exhale, pull in my front ribs, pull in my belly, shift my body weight forward, going to that plank pose, straight arm plank. The right knee comes down so that I can turn and look to the left and see the camera. And now my left foot is going to pivot so I can put my left heel down, dial the right hand in the direction of the pinky finger, get that right shoulder blade onto my back. Inhale, sweep that left arm up and open. Hey, we've been here before. Now you can stay here, or if it works for you to take that bottom leg and extend it straight, I crossed it in front. Bottom leg, I've crossed in front. Going for the full vashistasana. And you just put that knee back down if you need to. And release. Come on down. I'm going to spin around. So the next time I do it, I'll be facing the screen again. You do you, I do me. Once again, downward facing dog. And because I switch sides, that means when I rise to tippy toes, shift my body weight forward, pull in my tummy, shift to the top of that push-up plank pose. When I set my left knee down, I am primed to set my right heel down and open up right arm so I can still see the screen. Make sure that left hand dials in the direction of the pinky finger, that bottom shoulder shrugs onto your back, high-fiving a friend with the top hand so those abs are engaged. You can stay here or take that bent leg, kick it out straight and balance. And then come on down and release. All right. One last time, roll out those wrists. Really fanning those fingers, or big wrist circles. And go the other direction, big loopy circles. So that's quite shoulder intensive and wrist intensive and abs intensive today. We're going to lie down. Have your weights nearby. You were wondering if I forgot about them. No, I remember them. We're going to do those weights. So you can have your 3-pounders, cans of soup, bottles of water. I've also got some 5-pounders here just for fun. And all the toys nearby. And come join me lying down on the floor. A pillow can go underneath your head. Knees can be bent, feet can be flat. Now turn your toes in, let your knees lean together. And have all your toys nearby. So with your feet apart, one foot on either side of your mat, let your knees tick-tock side to side like windshield wipers, just to make nice with your lower back, just in case you were gripping your butt. Nervous. Some people carry their nerves in their butt and they clench up when they're doing stressful things like a one-arm plank. So take a moment to loosen those hips, tick-tock those knees side to side. And then come to neutral. Turn those toes in, let those knees lean together. Toes turn in, knees lean together. And take your hands behind your head, interlacing your fingers at the base of your skull, kind of making a hammock out of your fingers to rest your head in. Elbows go wide. So the distance between your chin and your chest, you want to maintain it. You can imagine a tennis ball or an apple between your chin and your chest. So head is heavy in the palms of your hands. Begin with an inhale. And as you exhale, tuck in those front ribs, squeeze your thighs closed, pull in your pelvic floor, and inhale, release. That's it. As you exhale, squeeze your thighs closed, tuck in your front ribs, pull in on that pelvic floor, and release. Exhale, close your legs, pull in on that pelvic floor, tuck in your front ribs, and inhale, release. So as you're doing this, maybe you're feeling a little bit of a pelvic thrust tilt. Maybe you're feeling your lower back get longer. It's not because you're pushing your back down. It's because you're squeezing your thighs close, tucking in your front ribs, pulling in on that pelvic floor. And then inhale, release. One more time. Exhale, squeeze your thighs closed, pull in on that pelvic floor, tuck in your front ribs. And if all is good, you can hover, lift your chest up just a little bit, and then set it back down. Inhale. Exhale, close your thighs, tuck in your front rib, pull in the front rib, pelvic floor, and then float your chest. You're only going like an inch, and then down. And exhale, float, and release. And exhale, float, and release. All right. Taking it to the next level, believe it or not, it is actually easier with weights. So start with your 3-pounders, your lighter weights, your cans of soup, and you're going to take your arms out. And then let your elbows bend in towards your ribs. And as you exhale, press those arms out. And then let your elbows scrape your ribs as you inhale. Exhale, press arms out. And inhale, elbows scrape your ribs. So if you're working on your chaturangas, your yoga push-ups, these are the same muscles you would be using. So if you're not the most confident when it comes to your chaturangas, this might be good homework for you. Exhale on the exertion and inhale, elbows scrape your ribs. Exhale on the exertion. Inhale, elbows scrape your ribs. Now let's just put this together. As you exhale, squeeze your thighs close, pull in that pelvic floor, tuck in your front ribs and push out. Maybe lift your head up, your chest up, and then inhale, come down. And as you exhale, push out, sit up, and inhale, release. Kind of easier with the weights, huh? Push out and inhale, release. As I exhale and push out, I personally feel my front ribs tuck in a little harder, which gives me more ab control. Exhale, breath out, and inhale, release. As you exhale, press the breath out, squeeze your thighs close, pull in on that pelvic floor. You only want breath moving out your mouth, not out the bottom half, if you know what I mean. You don't want any rude noises coming out of your bottom half on this one. So do make sure you have pelvic floor control. Exhale, squeeze those thighs close, pull in that pelvic floor, push out your breath and your arms, and inhale, release. You want to try it with the heavier weights. If you have them available to you, go ahead, switch it up. I'm going to go for my 5s now, because it's even easier with 5s. Inhale, prepare. As you exhale, push out and inhale, release. Exhale, push out. Inhale, release. Really starting to feel those front ribs, those upper abs. Your abs connect into those front bottom ribs. And that's what you're going for. Exhale, push out. And inhale, release. So I'm keeping that apple tennis ball distance between my chin and my chest. Hopefully you can understand what I'm saying clearly, because I'm not jamming my chin to my chest. I'm talking the whole time. You should be able to carry on a conversation as you do this too. So don't do anything funky with your neck. You should be able to talk, be able to breathe as you do this. How about 2 more? Exhale, push. Inhale, release. Exhale, push. And release. And then put your head down on the floor and put your weights down on the floor and take a moment to stretch, reaching through fingers, reaching through toes. So suntan like Superman. Reach through your fingers, reach through your toes, nice long full body stretch. Snow angel, your hands down by your hips, kind of clear some of the clutter out of the way. Keep it nearby, but move it out of the way. Bend both knees, both feet go flat, 1 foot on either side of your mat. Let those knees tick-tock side to side like windshield wipers. 1 hip lifts up, then the other. As you tick-tock side to side like windshield wipers, feel 1 butt cheek lift up, and then the other. 1 hip bone sticks out, and then the other. You want a little bit more stretch? Think about squeezing, tightening the butt cheek that is floating, and then drop it like it's hot. Squeeze, tighten the butt cheek that's floating, and then relax it. So as you squeeze that butt cheek, can you also pull in your abs, tuck in your front ribs, and then relax everything. As you exhale, squeeze that butt cheek, tuck in your front ribs, engage those abs, and then inhale, release. Exhale, knees go to the side, and inhale to center. Exhale, knees to the side, and then center. There's a lot going on, so it's hard for me to give you every single cue, every single breath. But as you do this, you are exhaling, pulling in your front ribs, pulling in that pelvic floor, tightening that butt cheek, and then inhaling, relaxing. As you're doing this, you might drop your shoulders away from your ears, maybe tuck your chin in a little bit for a little bit more oomph, a little bit more stretch, and inhale, relax. Exhale, pushing the knees away from you, and inhale to neutral. So whatever the knees are doing, push them away from you on that exhale for even more stretch, and inhale, relax. Exhale, push your knees away, and come back to neutral, and keep working it. As if that wasn't enough, think about keeping those front ribs tucked in. The same sensation you had when you were doing your sit-ups, your push-outs with those weights, those front ribs stay tucked in the entire time for more stretch. Keep those front ribs tucked in, almost as if you're pushing out with weights as you do this. Front ribs tucked in for more stretch. The next time your knees drop over to the right, all that muscular stuff going on, get a big stretch here, and then relax. And one last time to the left. Knees drop over to the left, push your knees away, tuck in those front ribs, kind of like you're doing your push out. Squeeze that butt cheek, pull in that pelvic floor, blah, 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 blah. Big stretch, and release. One knee at a time, both knees come to your chest. Rocking from side to side, walking those hips away from your shoulders. Find your belt. Let's make sure your back is very happy. So abs usually do make for a happy back, but also hamstring stretches. So let's take that belt over the bottom of the right foot and stand your left foot on the floor. With the belt looped around the bottom of that right foot, take your right leg nice and straight. So the beginner's version is this, with one leg straight, one leg bent, and your left foot flat on the floor, that left big toe dials in towards midline. This beginner's version, you notice that your torso, your spine is really well supported on the floor. You don't have to do anything, just hang out and breathe. More intermediate version, turn your abs on. So for the intermediate version, you tuck in your front ribs, pulling on that pelvic floor, activate your abs, and then extend your left leg straight. So now both legs go straight. Left leg goes straight along the floor. And your challenge is to keep those abs turned on, those front ribs tucked in, so that the shape of your back doesn't really change much. With your left leg straight on the floor, you squeeze that left leg in towards midline to engage that pelvic floor. Activate those Kegel muscles, which help support your abs. The advanced version, you relax your shoulders, you smile, you make it look easy. And exhale, belly strong, bend left knee, bend right knee, bend both knees into your chest. Slip your left foot in, slip your right foot out, and let's switch sides. So beginner's variation. Left leg goes straight, right foot flat on the floor, right knee bent. Right big toe dials in towards midline. So this is the version recommended if you have spinal issues. Your spine is nicely supported here. There's no strain on it. You're not doing any funky back bending thing. This is all good. This version's also really nice if you tend to have a tight lower back. because in this version, all the weight of the straight leg translates into your pelvis and lower back and really helps to release some of those deep muscles in the hips and pelvis. So often I will do this version if I have plans for you to do back bends and that sort of thing, just to really make sure that lower back is released. But since we did a bunch of abs today, and you probably know how to engage your abs just a little bit, you have the option of doing the intermediate version of this pose, which involves pulling in that pelvic floor, tucking in those front ribs, and then shooting that right leg straight out along the floor. Squeezing that right leg in towards midline. And engaging those abs enough, never 100%, more like 70%. Engage those abs enough to keep your back from springing away from the floor. This is not a back bend. And then again, the advanced version, you make it look easy. You just smile, shrug your shoulders away from your ears. Breathe smooth and steady. All right, once again, bend both knees, bring both knees into your chest. Hold on to the belt, keep it nearby. You're going to set your feet down 1 foot at a time and find your blocks. So taking this to the next level, I'm going to remove the pillow from beneath my head. I'm going to take my 2 yoga blocks. I'm holding on to, oh, there's my son. You want to come do my yoga with us? Sure. Okay, he can come on down. So I've got my 2 blocks. I'm holding on to the long edges of my blocks. I've got 1 for each butt cheek. What I'm going to do, again, nothing underneath your head for this one, is plant my feet flat, pull in that pelvic floor, squeeze my legs close, tuck in my front ribs. I'm engaging my abs. If somebody were to come by and poke me in the bladder right now, I would not pee because my abs are working. So working those abs, he's not going to do that, is he? No. Working those abs, I'm going to push into my feet, peel my hips up off the ground, and then take those 2 blocks underneath my butt. So I've got 1 for each butt cheek. I'm elevating and supporting my hips on blocks. And I'm using those blocks on the low level. So nothing too dramatic. And they are below my belt. I move my shirt out of the way so you can see my waistband. The blocks are underneath my butt, not my back. Have my belt back, kiddo? Thank you. And then when your hips are supported on blocks, you can bring your knees into your chest. And check to make sure those blocks are low enough below the belt so that your hips are supported. Knees come into your chest, butt is on blocks, belt goes around the bottom of the right foot, right leg goes straight, left leg goes straight, and here we go. Inhale. Exhale, tuck in those front ribs, pull on that pelvic floor, feel those abs engaged, even squeeze your legs narrow. And then if you want a psoas stretch, this is an internal hip flexor. I don't know what your chore is, honey. You can wait till the end of yoga class, might come help you. Okay, and then let your left leg lower down, maybe 2/3 of the way towards the floor. He was just asking what his chore is. We have a chore TV system. So if he does a chore, then he gets some screen time. So I think he needs to go put some laundry away or something before he can watch the TV this morning. So left leg lowering down, maybe 2/3 of the way. Abs are engaged, front ribs tucked in. This is an internal psoas hip flexor stretch. It might not feel like much other than an ab challenge. But after 2 or 3 or 4 breaths, maybe that left psoas muscle begins to release, and maybe that left leg lowers down a little closer to the floor, still stay straight without the shape of your back changing. Again, abs are working the whole time, probably 70, 80% ab strength. Just enough to keep your back from changing position. And as I always say, the proof is in your hairstyle. You've got good ab control if when you bring the left leg back up, your head doesn't skid across the floor. If your head moved, if you messed up your hair, you weren't quite using your abs, but that's okay. Takes practice. Let's go ahead and slip the left foot in, slip the right foot out. Now the belt's across the bottom of the left foot. The right leg is free. Both legs are straight. Both feet are flexed. Inhale. Exhale, tuck in those front ribs, squeeze your legs close, activate those abs, and then let your right leg descend down, maybe 2/3 of the way. And then just hang out here. Talk amongst yourselves. Think about what chore you're going to give your kid. Breathe. And again, after the 4th or 5th breath, maybe you'll start to feel that psoas muscle releasing. Now, the first time it happens, it might take a few breaths. But after a while, your body kind of gets used to this and it will start to release faster. So yoga is one of those things you have to maintain. Like good oral health, you should be brushing your teeth every day. You should be doing something fitness-wise every day. Stretching, walking, weight training, I don't care, something every day. All right. So hopefully you've been here long enough that you felt the magic happen and that right leg descended down a little closer to the ground. And now abs are strong as you bring that right leg up, and hopefully you don't mess up your hair and everything is beautiful. And you're going to take the belt off, bend those knees into your chest, set one foot down, set both feet down, push into your feet, pull in that pelvic floor, lift your hips up just enough to remove those blocks, set your hips down. It's going to feel like your butt is in a hole because all those back muscles let go. If you like, if you need to, you can put that pillow back underneath your head and then stretch out. You're going to feel so flat, especially if you reach down and kind of rearrange the merchandise there, spread out your backside. It's going to feel like you almost suction cup to the ground. You are primed for Shavasana. So if you prefer to do an alternative version of Shavasana, you can do whatever variation you desire. But if it works for you today, if that psoas muscle's released, if what we did today worked its magic, maybe you can spread out, starfish on the ground, and do a more traditional variation of Shavasana. So as you settle in, think back to what we did at the very beginning of class. And let your ribs separate from your hips. You might even kind of shift your chest around, climb your shoulders away from your hips, spread out your torso a little bit more. Shift and shimmy and wiggle so that you can really expand and open up that chest. Not only the front ribs, but those side ribs and those back ribs as well. You might even put your hands on your hips and do your best Wonder Woman pose. Spread your back, spread your chest out. And then finish with palms up, eyes closed, feet floppy. Long, slow, deep breaths.